This question makes it very easy to predict what's going on. We obviously need to care about punctuation. But beyond that, we need to make sure that we've memorized the rules for the punctuation marks, especially these advanced ones. We see there's a colon in choice B, there's a semicolon in choice C. And if we know the rules, then actually it becomes really easy to sort through this. Now, one thing that's really annoying is that question 13 seems to affect what's going on here, because we're definitely going to need to think about sentence structure. That's what we always need to think about when there's punctuation involved. And if we're changing the sentence, then the structure might change as well. For what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to ignore this underlined portion for 13, because even if it changed for the previous question, it's always functioning the same way. The structure is the same. It is an addition to the sentence, an extra clause. It is not part of the main sentence. So let me walk you through how that affects things then. So first and foremost, I know that if I have a semicolon, like choice C, I need to follow the rule that there needs to be a complete sentence before and after the semicolon. So I can go in and I can start thinking about that. Are these things before and after complete sentences? And that's where this part I crossed out might matter. But before I do that, I notice something else. You know what else needs a complete sentence before and after the punctuation mark? A period. Ooh, a period. And that's what choice A is, right? It's a period. It's the same exact thing. Words are the same. The only difference is that we've replaced the period with a semicolon and we've gotten rid of the capital letter. A and C are the exact same thing. There is no difference on an SAT between using a period and using a semicolon. So we can get rid of them both because they can't both be right. They're literally the same, right? So that really helps us. This is a good example of how if we memorize the rules for semicolons, we might be able to get this little boost right away. Because now our main decision is, do we need a colon, which is a hard stop, or do we need a soft stop like a comma? Okay, so the colon also has its own rule. In order to use a colon, we need a sentence before the colon. Afterwards, we have flexibility. We could use a sentence, we could have a list, we could have a single word, we've got flexibility. So let's check the other piece though. So let me highlight right here to here. Is this a sentence? Fred Harvey, an English-born entrepreneur. No, it's not a sentence. Nothing's happening. There's just a description of a guy, right? So there's no action. There's nothing in the sentence to make it a sentence. And so that tells me that I can't use a colon. It doesn't really matter what else follows it because the part before doesn't match up with the normal rule. So that gets rid of choice B and forces me to choose a comma. So let me just show you what's actually going on here. Let me get rid of that highlighting and let me use green to represent the actual sentence and then red to understand the extra thing. So red we've already seen, I've crossed it out, but that's all an extra piece that's attached. Fred Harvey, an English-born entrepreneur, decided to open his own restaurant business to serve rail customers. I left out the he because notice choice D is leaving out the he as well. So an English-born entrepreneur is this little extra thing. It's kind of like an appositive. There's a whole other section I do on appositives in my study guides, but here we're dealing with the appositive on top of the other advanced punctuation. And it's basically a description of what Fred Harvey is, who he is. He's an English-born entrepreneur. It's helpful for me to understand the sentence, but grammatically it's not necessary. And so we're doing a very common thing to show that. We have a comma before and what ultimately will be a comma after to show that, you know, this is an extra piece that's inserted, interrupting the sentence, and the comma tells us we're entering the interruption and leaving the sentence, and then the second comma tells me the interruption is over, we're going back to the main sentence. That's what commas do. That's what punctuation does, is it marks a shift in sentence structure. So we need to memorize the rules about how different punctuation marks interact with the structure of a sentence. And they're still hard, but we don't stand a chance unless we memorize them.